Morning, everybody. 8:19 a.m. It is January. February 3rd. February 3rd. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday, I talked about yesterday with that sweep, right? And I said the expected place the market will go was overnight highs, previous day's highs, and then possibly a 6 to 8 to 12 hour supply zone that I had on my chart. Well, that's where we went. Not because I'm a genius. It's because when you get a sweep like that, the next draw on liquidity will be higher. Okay, that's just how the market works. Now, that's an ICT term. Draw on liquidity just means that that liquidity will draw a price to it. Okay? So, yesterday had a monster run up, right? And I was explaining when I was live on my channel that when you make a move that's far and that fast in that type of time, once we hit that supply zone, I was saying I didn't expect much further, any further higher prices, which we did not. It struggled. All right, that's what I expected. Now the internals were very bullish yesterday, but once you have those bullish internals and you ran a long way, you don't have a ton of space to go higher. So I was telling everybody when I was live that a long is probably a poor thing to do up in this range. You're not going to get a ton unless you're going for ticks or like a point. Okay. Now, while I was in my live channel, I did take a short, which I said it would have been about a C plus a C short if I graded it, and I just showed for education purposes my short, why I was shorting. Ended up hitting my target. That was the only trade I took, which was not. It was just a sim trade, but just was for educational purposes. Okay. So now we just came a long way, and all we're doing is accumulating in the pre-market. That's all we're doing. We're inside, still inside that big supply zone. We're now in supply in the Nasdaq as well. Nasdaq's holding above the most traded price of the rolling year. It's all bullish. We have AMD earnings. We have Joel's jobs. Okay. AMD earnings after the close. AMD's been getting the earnings run up. Okay. Typically, before earnings, you'll notice that certain stocks will start to charge higher before their earnings. It's called the earnings run up. AMD is doing that. Edit did it the week before as well. All right. So AMD is what we're about. Now it's already up to over 2% pre-market. All right. Palantir had blowout earnings. It's up over 11%. I own Palantir, but I was always looking to add to it. Well, I mean, I haven't trimmed any of it either because I don't have a ton. Right? Silver is a beast this morning, up almost 15%. I'm thinking about adding to my position. Okay. Also, Hood, ticker Hood, HOOD, Robinhood. I've been waiting for an entry to start a position in that. That is also on my radar. Bitcoin hit that major level, right? 77. Broke through it. All right. Now it's kind of figuring out what it wants to do. It's figuring out what it wants to do. Right? Coinbase has also dropped significantly. Yesterday closed at 187. That's also something. Now, those kind of stocks, you can get a nice run up, and I probably just play it like set it at a certain weight. Goes over my weight, I trim it. I'm not about to hold and hold and hold if I get a run, all right? Because they are very volatile. So we'll see. We'll see. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, so do not take this as any financial advice. Okay? All right. Let's start getting into things, all right? Welcome to my channel. My name's Steve Gonzalez. I use market profile and buying profile to find structure in the markets along supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That's how I find structure and game plans in the market. Market internals, my bread and butter. Anchor VWAPs, some little ICT concepts. All right. That's what I look at. All right. Now, hopefully, you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market story, the economic calendar, the market news, the leaders and the laggards, and technical analysis, followed by long and short trade scenarios in ES and NASDAQ futures. All right. Now, if you go back to all my videos, I've been nailing every day what's going to happen. Nailing it. Okay. Now, that's nailing it as far as pre-market. Then when I'm inside the day, I'm also nailing it. And that's just experience and my system. It's not magic. Okay. When I started, I had a couple mentors that did the same thing, and I was amazed how this guy could do scenarios. The guy's name, Futures Trader 71, would do a pre-market. When I would ride the bus when I commuted to the city, I'd watch his pre-market every morning. And he'd have these scenarios, and I'd be like, how is he doing this? This is crazy. Right? Well, now I know how, because I can do it. It just takes a lot of practice and your eye getting trained to see things quick. All right? Like anything. All right? Takes a lot of practice, a lot of hard work, but then it eventually pays off. Okay? Now, if you want a lot of that skill and you want it firsthand, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. All right? I will not steer you wrong. I don't know who's in here. Any of my people that in my community who see my price, reading price action, they will attest. Okay? Not sure if they're in right now. I know they usually watch it. Maybe they catch up later as I'm going. They will attest to what I'm saying. Okay? Pretty detailed how I look at markets. Okay, so come join. All right. Now let's look at this futures watch list now. And silver is a monster. I think that might have been the first viable pullback here. In silver ETF, it went down to the 70s. Yesterday it closed at 72. Now it's at 80. This might be the pullback that we see. So I'm really figuring if I want to add to my position, because they're really calling for this thing to go to 150. It's crazy. Okay. Now this market the silver was manipulated. They kept raising margin, raising, and then you got the pullback. So it's up almost 15% today. That is nuts. All right, gold's up almost 6.5%. It's nuts. Nasdaq's up 0.55. Crude up 0.51. 10-year yield is up. That is not good for mortgage rates. All right, Bitcoin's up 0.34. Russell's up 0.32. ES up 0.25. Dow's flat. Dollar's flat. 30-year bonds being sold. Ethereum down 0.80, and the VIX is down 1.29. Okay, we're back in positive gamma. Positive gamma means less volatility. Okay. Now, moving on to the Mag 7 Plus. Here's your AMD. Has earnings after the close. Google's up 1.28%. Tesla's up 1.18%. Broadcom up 0.90%. Amazon up 0.68%. Nvidia up 0.67%. Coinbase up 0.61%. Is there laggards? Microsoft down 0.20%. Berkshire Hathaway down 0.35%. And Apple is down almost 0.5%. Moving on, top sectors. Palantir smashed earnings. Okay. They're up 11%. Amazing. Amazing. All right. The mining, NEM, up 5%. No shock there. GEV, my lord. Jeez. Now I trimmed this position when it was almost at 700. This thing is a monster. My entry is like 280 something. This thing is a monster. God. All right. Let's see here. Caterpillar up 0.41. Let's see if there's any laggard here. Yeah, Visa's down 0.21. Exxon's down. Qualcomm is down 0.62. Oracle down 0.74. And Salesforce is lagging down 1.81. We have time now to look at the granular list today. Look at our silver in the ETF up 10.80%. Gold junior miners up 6.663. Gold up 6.26. Rocket Labs getting some love. I had a nice pullback up over 4.5%. Intel up almost over 4%. Western Digital hard drive up 4.2. Blah, blah. That's it. I'll get over that. All right, now let's look at laggards today. Woo! PayPal is getting smoked at earnings. They're down 16.59%. That is not good. They are getting smoked. Anything else here? I think that's Accenture. That's down 3.5%. Omnicron Group down 3.29. Trade Desk down 3.19. Intuit down 2%. And I believe that's Block XYZ down 2%. All right. Now, moving on. To sectors. Here we go. Semis are up 1.13%. Semis getting love today. Technology up 0.76. That's what moves our markets, folks. Basic materials, that's your metals, up 0.75. Energy up. Now, who's lagging today? Financials. Financials are lagging today with Berkshire Hathaway. Okay? With Berkshire Hathaway. Now, we are going to move on to pre-market prep. My little bot. I'm still working on my bot. Okay? He ain't the best, but I'm training him. All right? Got to get him in line sometimes. He put a UPS here, and I believe a Lululemon, which was not correct. Pfizer did have earnings, but you really got to really work with these bots. He's doing pretty good, but we'll see. Okay, let's go. Economic calendar. Let's get into the economic calendar here. Okay. We got 10 a.m. Jolts Jobs. All right. Then we have looks at FOMC Barkin and Bowman speak from 8 to 9:40. Trump tracker spending bill. Watching, the House is expected to vote today on a spending package to end partial government shutdown. Trump has demanded no changes to the House bill. Fed transition. We know Warsh is coming in. Tariff tensions. Ongoing monitoring of Canadian aircraft and AI chip tariff implementations. Specifically watching sector reactions to Boeing and Nvidia. Then earnings. Pfizer reported they beat. Let's see. I'm not sure the accuracy, but the AMD obviously waiting for after the close. Notable analyst changes. Meta. Zacks downgraded to hold. Let's see. PayPal, sharp pre-market decline, what we just talked about. Okay, they had earnings. Okay, now let's see here. We are going to go to, I don't think we need to go to much more. There is a little more stock news here. He was supposed to put the Palantir stuff in there. I don't know why he did not do that. I mean, I'm calling him he, but it's bot. So let's look at that. Palantir stock soared 11% after that analytics group posted record revenue $1.41 billion in the last 3 months of 2025, underpinned by soaring demand from both government and corporate customers for AI-enhanced tools. Pfizer. Yeah, I don't know. That bot's. I just put him in a corner for some of these. Pfizer did not beat. So I'm still working on that. It's a work in progress. PepsiCo stock fell 0.8 despite the soft drinks giant top fourth quarter revenue expectations. JetBlue stock gained 2.5 after Citigroup upgraded its stance on the carrier. SoFi stock gained 3.9 after JP Morgan upgraded the fintech company to overweight from neutral. All right, more news. If there's anything to talk about here, Netflix CEO faces grilling by U.S. Senate panel over Warner Brothers deal. All right, I think we can move on from this. And hold on one second. What is he doing? Give me 1 second. All right. I think we're going to move on to the market internals. Give me a sec. All right, let's go over those market internals. As this shapes what I do every day. Okay? So, this is just bullish. All green. You are not going to get a sharp down move at all when this is the case. Now, there was a divergence. Look at the white line. That's equal weight. It was not as strong as the market cap weight. But market cap is what moves our markets. But in general, you want them both working together. That's when you get monster days. Today you had an open drive basically off the open here. That was the move, and you had a little more to the top. But then the market didn't have the rest of the market with it, so it didn't go much higher. Okay, now notice these Valdez. That is the ratio of volume going into buying versus selling, or selling versus buying when it's red. They were not very strong. Okay, even the S&P's 500's ADD only plus 85 is not a very strong number. Hence why the market wasn't an all-out crazy, just rip roaring. It did off the open, but then it died. See, a market that had more juice would have kept trending. Okay? So, let's get into daily charts now. Anybody has Thinkorswim in the SPY daily chart, it totally made a huge wick and was an error. And it was like, what the heck is going on here? I had to fix it. I had to fix that. So here's daily charts. Okay? What price action? Look at these days. Look at this. Open here, sell off, close up. Next day, kind of like a doji, but a big wide range. Another wide range. You opened here, pretty much an open drive, all the way up to here and pulled back. Look to the left, though. We're still in this congestion. Okay? Still in this congestion. What do we have? Expected range is a 709 to the upside, 674 to the downside. That's the expected moves. You can see the little red here. Okay? Now, let's look where we're at now. 697s. Oh, folks, we are right at yesterday's highs. Right now. All right, let's look at futures. Okay, see futures. You pushed above yesterday's session. Okay. Right there's a little wiki wick. There's all-time highs. Remember I said we swept all these lows, which would make the expected move to go up higher, which it did. That's what it did. Now, if I blindly wanted to go long at the open, yeah, would I have made money? Yep, it would have did exactly what I said, but there was no trade set up there. None. Moving on. Qs. Now the Qs, right? We opened right there on the 50-day moving average, right at last week's lows. Powered up, and look, you made an equal pretty much daily high. You only took out that yesterday's highs by a little bit. Now, on the chart, even if you notice on the QQQ, oh, this trading, it's the most traded price of the rolling year. So I was telling my community, hey, we're not going to get, this is going to battle that level for a while. And I said, but it wants the previous day's highs. And it struggled and struggled and it finally hit it. Okay? When it hit it, that's where I did my sim short, which I said was like a C grade trade. Even though it worked, I wouldn't have took that. But it worked. Okay? So where are we now? 629.50. We are gapping up. So we are right there. Above these equal highs. Okay? Gapping up. That is a previous monthly high. Okay, that I believe is December's highs. This is, why is that white? Oh yeah, that's the previous month's highs. That is January's highs up there. Okay. All right. Saying goodbye to my wife and my daughter. Now we can move on to the to Nasdaq futures. Now look at that equal high here. Note that, folks. Note that, Mr. R, double R. Note that. That's a liquidity level you got to pay attention to 26027s. Okay? Pay attention. Pay attention. All right? Big ranges here. Big ranges. All right? I did heard some stat about last year. Something crazy stat was like the majority of the moves happened in the overnight sessions. Which I can see that happens a lot. Right? And then you get little dribbles in the real-time trading session. Okay? That is the daily charts. Okay? You're in the gobbledygook. You got above a little bit of the gobbledygook in the trading volume. You can just see how heavily traded this is. You just see it. It's pretty gross. Okay? It's got to get out of here. And you do have a little bit of a daily supply zone right here, but it's going to be a little problem. It's going to be a little problem. A little bit. Now, breath. Smell it. How's that breath smell? Let's see. It's kind of 4 days in a row of staying stagnant. We are 65% still of stocks over their simple day 50 moving average on the daily chart. Alright, so that's been stagnant. Hasn't deteriorated. Hasn't really got much better. Okay? That's our breath. Now, we move on, folks. We move on. We will move on to the hourly charts. We move on to the hourlies. Boom. Here we are. Let's get my little marker out. Alrighty. So, yesterday I explained in detail to my Discord exactly what was going to happen, and I did to you guys yesterday pre-market. Okay? So, swept that liquidity. I said the next move had to be there. Okay? And then here. And see, this is the black shaded area is the real-time trading average. You see how we had trouble into this supply zone. Now, what are we doing? Accumulating. Okay, this supply zone, overhead supply, is not easy to get through. You can just see the price action here. That is not easy to get through. Right? Now, yesterday, I said, look where we came from, and like we were up here in the session. And I go, look at that run. If you ran that long, you're going to take a breath. You're going to take a break, especially into the 6-hour supply. That's exactly what we did. Now, Palantir might have helped with a little bit of that, but we have to see. Okay. Now, we're dealing with a couple of buy side liquidity here, or just swing highs. Right here and here. We hit one of them. Notice a wick. Okay. Then we have our swing low right there, a little under 7,000. Okay. So you got to wait. Okay. Now, there's actually not a fair value gap here, even though that means the market a little more healthier move here when you don't have the fair value gap. Okay. Because it just overlapped. There is a fair value gap here, though. Now, the key today, okay, is the market's building out volume here, which is what you want. It's bullish. Okay. A key thing to note here. Well, we can check out our daily candle. It's not that big like yesterday. Look at that. Opened here. Price is here. It went all the way up to here. Our 4 hour is kind of like middling, right? So, in this case, we have this very important level that just moved higher. Okay, around 7,000 and change, maybe 7,003. Our most traded price of yesterday and our most traded price of the week have moved there. That is bullish. Price is above that now. That is a bullish move. Okay, just said the most traded price of the last week, the rolling week, has moved higher. That kind of tells you people are finding acceptance at this price. They are saying that in the last week, this price is fair. Remember, the market is an auction, market auction theory. Okay, this is deemed the fairest price of the last week, and it's based on volume. That's the beauty of it, right? It's not like a moving average. It's the actual contracts that trade there. Okay, so what we're going to wait for today. Now this supply, they almost took it all out. Not all of it. All right. So that's good. It's almost used up, which is good. Now, what do I want to see? What do I want to see? What I feel will most likely might happen here is you'll get a little. Now, if any of my trusted community members are in there, hopefully they can give me what this would be if they're in here. They might watch it. Like I said, I think they're watching it delayed most likely. If you get something like this and you try to break that swing low, the overnight low, okay, and you get this back, that's a sweep above the most traded price again of yesterday and of the week, that's your long, and you're targeting overnight highs, and then the rest is gravy. Honestly, that's the number one scenario for myself. So all you got to worry about is that. Don't be a sucker. What do I mean by that? Don't be a hero and trade in the middle of that. Wait for the edges to get tested. Don't be a sucker. I used to be that sucker because I tried to outsmart the market. The market is all about waiting. You get paid to sit. Okay? Sniper. The sniper does not have a machine gun. The sniper does not take a shot at every move. He would be a very bad sniper. Okay? They wait. Wind. The conditions. His scope. Everything. Right? Moving on to the NASDAQ. Okay. Here we are. Here's our NASDAQ. Okay. So, we made a good move yesterday and we held price above the most traded price of the rolling year, which happens to be 25876. Okay, I pointed out the volume. Now we are in a supply zone. Not as strong as the ES supply zone because the border is not thick. But it's notable that we're holding above this volume. It's very notable and bullish. We are also accumulating. Okay? Now, I know there's a little liquidity here that I could get rid of. I didn't realize I didn't get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. Let's see here. Okay, good. Now, same thing. It's not rocket science. I'm not going to long in supply. No, no, no. Okay? So, we're accumulating here. So, what do you want to do? You want to test the edges. This is a media edge. This is a little deeper pullback, okay? And you want to test here. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Another golden nugget. In the ES, there is a bar like this. Now, this is a huge bearish fair value gap from here to here. When you have one that big, yes, can they work, right? Because look, we retraced into that once before and sold, right? But at the end of the day, it's poor structure. Okay? This is a one-way move. So when the market is strong, and let's say the NASDAQ does this, breaks this, let's say holds this, it's not going to have a hard time to reach this supply zone. It's not. This is not the best structure, right? So in a weaker market, you can come up here and that fair value gap can have some problems. But when you have momentum, it can just take that out. And then you'll have problems in the supply. There's a lot of overhead supply. Now, this is what I mentioned last week when I was foaming at the mouth for a short. Up in here, I go, oh my God, there's some heavy supply. And that's when we did that. Woo. Okay. That was like, no, I didn't have a setup for that, unfortunately. But I was like, my God. In the pre-market, I was like, I want to short that thing so bad. All right. Now, that's your hourly charts. Let's move on, folks, to the market profile and the volume profile. Just a different way to look at the markets. Okay, just a different way. I love it because it really shows you the overnight session versus the real-time trading session. Okay. Alrighty. So, this is our ES, right? Now, we're pretty much at yesterday's highs, that little red dot there. Okay? We talked about the game plan. We already talked about it. So, last week's highs is all-time highs, 7043. Right? You can see the open, you can call this an open test because it pushed it down a little bit and then it just ripped up. Okay? So, this is not going to be too hard to, because I already gave you the ultimate scenario before. We're accumulating. We are accumulating. Okay? So, let's get right into the scenarios here. Right into the scenarios here. We'll start with the bull case. They are in control. That was a market structure shift yesterday. We changed from a downtrend to an uptrend. Okay. Now, what do we have here? What are some key levels? Well, obviously, we talked about this, right? This demand lines up with yesterday's most traded price, the most traded price of the week, the close, and you got a nice demand zone here. Okay. So, that's where we want our pullback. Now look, we have a poor high up here as well. That needs to be corrected. Markets love poor highs. It is a draw on liquidity. So, like I just said earlier, I want some type of quick move down. Now, it could be perfect and do this, then you're long, targeting all-time highs. Now, the bear trap would be pull back real quick into this area and a real quick recovery. That's a long as well. Now, I'm not honestly. If we just start ripping higher, we'll have to see if I'd want to pull back long later on. Okay, but this is something I'm really interested in. Now, even if you pulled back all the way to here, that's still the market is bullish. But if we do that, market's probably not going to be that strong. So that's why I like these. All right, now bear side. All right, so we are in supply and a lot of overhead supply. Okay, so this is real important. Now, if we come up here and get in trouble here, right? We break this poor high and we get a wick back into the session. Well, that is an accumulation and manipulation to the upside. So you're going to want to take out that overnight low. If you take out the most traded price of the week and of yesterday, remember that's people's behavior. That's the beauty of volume profile. It is not my opinion. It is what the market is showing you, people's behavior. You take this out. If you find acceptance here and you start doing this, this move is going to get taken out. And we could fall. Okay, you got a 1 hour bearish bullish for Vega up there, so you're going to come into this kind of like ultimate balance area. This could be a big move. Now, we have AMD at the end, at the close. So that's something you can look into. Now, if you're conservative, you wait for this acceptance here to try to get along to short. Okay, once you go into all-time highs, right, there's no more overhead supply. There's no resistance. It's very hard to try to short things because every time you short, it seems like every pullback gets bought. It's not a smart short. Okay, Nasdaq. Here we are. Nasdaq is a small gap up. Okay, so here's our Nasdaq. Now Nasdaq has obviously accumulation. You can see the profile is very fat in the middle here, very balanced, right? But we're holding a very key level, the most traded price of the rolling year. Yeah, this is perfect because this is when the markets are synced. Structurally, they're synced up. They have the same type of trade. Most traded price of the year, of the month, okay, of yesterday, the close. You got a bunch of confluence here. We know we're accumulating. We're in supply. Okay, so let's break this out. Okay, big accumulation here. And now we'll just start scenarios. Okay, we'll start scenarios. Okay. Let's start with the bull case because it's going to be the same as the ES. Very simple. You're going to wait for some type of violent pullback. I want this thing to take out these overnight lows. Maybe drip down. Whoop. Recover. Higher low. There's your long, folks. You take out those overnight highs. Remember what I said about the structure. If we look to the left, you notice how that's only one 30-minute bar that has, it's basically a single print. This could just boop, 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 work its way right there, right into supply. You could even get a little bear trap one where you go a little deeper, maybe hit 50%, but then recover. Ooh, you got to get long. Okay? That's what I like in the NASDAQ. That's what I like in the NASDAQ. Bear. Very similar to the ES. Let's say we come up here. We take this out, but we can't displace and close up. We close back inside. Come back through the most traded price of the overnight, right there. That's a short. Then you're going to target the overnight lows. This, if you break through this, now that's a nice short, okay? If you go like this, and you start accepting price lower, and the market starts to weaken, we are going to push lower to the most traded price of the current year, okay? Then you have single prints from yesterday. So this could get very ugly and take out yesterday's lows. I do not know if that happens. Right now, my bias is long. Okay? If we go above this, except I am not going to look for shorts right now. It doesn't make sense to me. Don't fight the wave. Don't swim upstream. Don't fight the trend. Okay? Momentum's very powerful. Momentum is a very powerful thing. Market goes up way more than it goes down. Okay, now intraday, yes, we can go down, but the easier ride is up. Okay, that's it for that analysis, folks. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed my analysis. That would mean a lot to me. All right. Now, please subscribe, set that alert. I do this every morning, give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and laggards, basically why the market's doing what it's doing, followed by technical analysis in the long and short trade scenarios in NASDAQ and ES futures. Okay, now when you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord, Confluence Trading. There I give you intraday commentary, golden nuggets. Let me be your indicator. I will not steer you wrong. Trust me. I will not steer you wrong. Okay? I'm very patient. I'm very patient. Okay? So, with that being said, today we got 10 a.m. news. 10 a.m. news. We're accumulating right now. Don't be a sucker. Okay? Don't be a sucker and trade in noise. Right? You trade in noise, the market treats you as noise. Now, give you a lot of analogies like sniper. Another one is, what can we control? Our risk. That's what we can control. Right? You want to make your market, okay? You want to become like a Borgata. You want to become like a Caesars. You want to be the house. The house sets their risk limits when you go there for their favor. Remember, the house generally wins in a casino. That's what you want to do when you trade. You become the casino. Hey, I'm not going to get in this unless I get a 2-to-1 risk to reward. Hey, I'm not going to get in this. This doesn't make sense. I'm only going to get a 1-to-1 here. Now, let me say something. I'm giving generalities, right? Sometimes I will get in a scalp for a 1-to-1 because I'm confident it's a setup that I hit a lot. But generally, you want at least a 2-to-1, right? So, but if you're the casino and you're like, that's only a 1-to-1, well, then you don't take it. House rules. You give your risk. You set your stop. That's our control. Once you get in, hey, market's got to do its thing. Okay? So, everybody have a great day. No trade is a trade. Cash is your position. But if Mayo's listening, take a trade. All right? However, please come join my Discord. Please, please, please come join it. Trust me, you will not regret it. If I don't see you in there, I'll see everybody tomorrow morning.